What's up everyone? Quarter 1 of 2026 is already stacked, and I'm not even exaggerating. We got long-awaited sequels, massive AAA shooters, beautiful open world games, and some indie titles that might actually steal the spotlight. So let's get started. At number 15, we've got Hollow Knight Silksong. This is easily one of the most anticipated indie games ever made, and after all the waiting, it's finally real. If you've played Hollow Knight, you already know the vibe. Tight combat, deep exploration, and that lonely, mysterious atmosphere that just pulls you in. But Silksong switches things up in a big way. You're playing as Hornet this time, and she feels way faster, way more aggressive. The movement's sharper, more vertical, and combat feels more fluid compared to the original. What I love already is how the world feels alive, but also dangerous. Every area looks handcrafted, the enemy design's creative, sometimes creepy, and bosses look like they're going to test your patience in the best way possible. And let's talk difficulty. If the first game humbled you, this one looked like you're not holding back either. But that's the beauty of it. Everyone feels earned, every new ability changes how you explore older areas. Visually, it keeps the beautiful hand-down art style, but everything feels more polished and detailed. And with good PC performance, smooth gameplay makes those tight dodges and fast reactions feel even better. Silksong isn't just another sequel, it feels like a full evolution of what made Hollow Knight special. And for quarter 1 of 2026, this is easily the best of the strongest titles on the list. Next up, at number 14, we've got Quarantine Zone, The Last Check. And this game is honestly one of the most unique concepts I've seen in a while. Instead of just shooting zombies non-stop like most games in the genre, this one puts you in a tense role. You're basically the last checkpoint between infected and saved zones. Your job is to inspect survivors who are trying to enter the quarantine area and figure out if they're infected or not. And that's where the pressure kicks in. People are desperate, they're scared, and sometimes they lie. You're checking symptoms, scanning them, questioning them, and trying to make the right call. Let someone infected through and you could cause the outbreak, but deny the wrong person and they might be sending an innocent survivor to their death. What makes the game so interesting is the psychological tension. Every decision matters. It's not just about reflexes or shooting skills, it's about observation, judgment, and dealing with the consequences of your choices. Visually, the atmosphere is dark and gritty. It truly sells the end of the world feeling where resources are limited and trust is basically gone. So if you're looking for something different from the typical zombie action games, Quarantine Zone, The Last Check brings a fresh twist to the genre and earns its spot in the list. Next up, at number 13, we've got High on Life 2, and if you've played the first game, you already know this one's going to be completely unhinged in the best way possible. This is a first-person shooter, but it's nothing like your typical FPS games. The entire game is built around these talking alien guns, each with their own personality, jokes, and abilities. Sometimes they help you in a combat and sometimes they're just roasting you the entire time you're playing. What makes the sequel stand out is how much smoother the gameplay feels. Movement is way faster this time around, and they've added things like skateboarding through levels which completely change how you move during fights and exploration. Instead of just running and shooting, you're grinding through areas, jumping between platforms and attacking enemies while flying around the map. The world design is also wild. You're traveling across these colorful alien planets, fighting bizarre enemies, and talking on ridiculous boss fights that feel like they came straight out of sci-fi comedy movies. And story-wise, the game actually takes things in a different direction too. Instead of being the hero bounty hunter from before, you're now kind of on the run yourself, dealing with a massive intergalactic conspiracy that's threatening humanity. It's weird, chaotic, hilarious, and honestly one of the most unique shooters you can play right now. If you're tired of serious military FPS games and want something completely different, High on Life 2 is easily one of the most fun games of quarter 1 of 2026. Next up, we've got Counter-Strike 2, and honestly this game proves that sometimes you don't need to reinvent the formula, you just need to perfect it. For anyone who's played Counter-Strike before, the core experience is still the same. Two teams going head-to-head in tactical round where every bullet and every decision matters. No respawns, no chaos like battle royals. Just pure skill, positioning, and teamwork. But what makes Counter-Strike 2 feel fresh is the technology behind it. The game moved to Valve's Source 2 engine, which means better lighting, sharper visuals, and more detailed maps. Classic maps like Dust 2 and Mirage looks cleaner and more modern while still keeping the layout players love. One of the biggest gameplay changes in the new sub-tick system, instead of relying on the traditional server's tick rate, the game now records player actions more precisely, meaning shots, movements, and grenade throws register exactly when they happen. That makes gunfight feel way more responsive, especially in competitive matches. Like dynamic smoke grenades, the smoke actually reacts to the bullet and explosions, opening temporary sightlines and creating new strategies during fights. At the end of the day, Counter-Strike 2 keeps what made the serial legendary while modernizing it for today's hardware and esports scenes. Next on the list at number 11 is Elden Ring. And even years after its release, the game still stands as one of the best open-world RPGs you can play on PC. What makes Elden Ring so special is how it combines the classic Soul-style challenges with a massive open world that you can explore however you want. There is no hand-holding, no obvious path you have to follow. You see something interesting in the distance, you ride towards it, and there is almost always something waiting for you there. A hidden dungeon, a powerful boss, or some piece of the lore that makes the world feel deeper. Combat is where the game really shines. Every enemy can punish mistakes, and every boss fight feels like a real test of skills. You're constantly learning, adapting, and improving. When you finally beat a difficult boss, it genuinely feels like you've earned that victory. Visually, the world of the lands between is incredible. Huge castles, dark caves, golden forest, and massive dragons roaming the map. The art design alone makes the game unforgettable. And the freedom of builds is insane. You can go full strength with giant weapons, play as fast as dexterity fighters, or build a powerful mage that melts enemies with spells. Even now in 2026, Elden Ring is still one of those must-play games. It's challenging, beautiful, and easily one of the greatest RPGs experience of the last decade. Next up, at number 10, we've got The Last of Us Part 2. And this is one of those games that really shows how powerful storytelling in video games can be. At its core, this is a story about revenge, loss, and the consequences of violence. You follow Ellie as she goes on a brutal journey through a post-apocalyptic world that feels incredibly real and emotional. It's not just about surviving infected, it's about the people, the relationships, and the choices character makes along the way. Gameplay-wise, the combat feels intense and very groundbreaking. Every fight feels dangerous. You're sneaking through buildings, using limited resources, crafting tools, and trying to outsmart enemies, instead of just running in and shooting everything. One thing the game does incredibly well is immersion. The environments are extremely detailed. The graphics are spectacular. Abandoned cities, overgrown buildings, destroyed neighborhoods, everything looks like a world that's slowly being reclaimed by nature. And on PC, with higher frame rates and a better graphic card, the game looks absolutely incredible. The character animations, facial expressions, and small details really bring the story to life. The Last of Us Part 2 isn't just about action. It's about emotion, difficult choices, and experiencing a story that sticks with you long after you finish playing. And that's why it absolutely deserves a spot on the list. At number 9, we've got Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. And this game honestly feels like you're playing through a full Indiana Jones movie. You step into the shoes of Indy himself, traveling across different locations around the world, solving ancient mysteries, exploring hidden ruins, and uncovering secrets tied to a powerful historic artifacts. The story takes place between the event of Raiders of the Lost Ark and The Last Crusade, so it really captures the classic Indiana Jones adventure vibes. What makes the game stands out is the mix of gameplay styles. It's not just action. You're solving puzzles, sneaking through enemy camps, exploring tombs, and occasionally getting into intense fights when things go wrong. And of course, Indy Whip plays a huge role. You can use it for combat, climbing, swinging across gaps, and even solving environmental puzzles. It actually becomes a core part of how you move around the world. The environments are also fantastic. From ancient temples to secret underground chambers, everything is filled with details and that classic treasure hunting atmosphere. You really feel like an archaeologist uncovering lost history. If you enjoy story-driven adventure games with exploration, puzzles, and cinematic movements, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is easily one of the most exciting adventure games you can play right now. Next up, sitting at number 8, we've got Fortnite, and even in 2026, this game somehow keeps reinventing itself and staying at the top of the gaming world. At its core, Fortnite is still a battle royale, everyone knows. 100 players dropping into a massive map, collecting weapons, building defenses, and fighting to be the last one standing. But what makes Fortnite different from almost every other game is how much it constantly evolves. Every season brings something new weapons, new map changes, limited time events, and sometimes entire mechanics that completely changes how the game plays. One season you might be focusing on mobility and movement, and the next season the meta is all about close range combat. And visually, the game has its own style that never gets old. It's colorful, smooth, and incredibly optimized. Even with the large fights and crazy moments happening on screen, the game runs really well on PC, PS5, and Xbox. Another thing that keeps Fortnite fresh is the variety of modes. You've got the classic battle royale, zero builds for players who want pure gunplay, creative maps, and community-made experience that basically turns Fortnite into multiple games inside one platform. Whether you're playing competitively, dropping in with friends, or just messing around in creative modes, Fortnite continues to prove what it's still one of the biggest games in the world. Next up, sitting at number 7, we've got Cyberpunk 2077. And if you want a game that truly shows what modern PC graphics can do, this is one of the best examples out there. Night City looks absolutely insane. The lighting, the reflections, the neon signs, the crowded streets, everything feels alive. When you're playing with settings like ray tracing or path tracing on a powerful PC, the visuals are on another level. The way light reflects off wet streets at night, the glow from the billboards, even the interiors of buildings, it honestly feels like stepping into a futuristic movie. But Cyberpunk isn't just about graphics. One of the coolest things about the game is how your choices actually matters. Almost every major decision you make can change how the story plays out. The way you handle missions, who you trust, who you help, and who you betray can lead to completely different outcome. That means two players can play through the same game and end up with very different experiences. Different story path, different relationship with characters, and even different endings depending on the decisions you make along the way. And the freedom in how you play is huge. You can go in as a stealth hacker, a heavy combat character, or someone who relies on speed and cybernetic abilities. So between the incredible visuals, the deep storytellings, and the multiple story paths based on your choices, Cyberpunk 2077 is still one of the most immersive and visually impressive games you can play even in 2026. Next up at number 6, we've got Battlefield 6. And one of the biggest additions this time around is the Battle Royale mode. For the first time in the series, Battlefield really leans into the large-scale survival experience. You've got massive maps, squad fighting for survivals, vehicles everywhere, and that classic Battlefield chaos, where anything can happen at any moment. What makes this Battle Royale feels different from other is the scale. You're not just running around with basic gear. Tanks, helicopters, and heavy weapons can all play a role in how the match unfolds. One minute you're sneaking through buildings trying to survive, and the next minute an entire building collapses because of an explosion nearby. But Battlefield has always been known for its multiplayer, and that's still where the game really shines. Large team battles with dozens of players, multiple objectives, and full-scale warfare happening across huge maps. You've got infantry combat, snipers holding long sightlines, vehicles pushing objectives, jets flying overhead, and destructions changing the battlefield as the match goes on. Every match feels like a cinematic war moment, and on PC, with high refresh rates and powerful hardware, the game feels incredibly smooth and intense during those massive battles. So whether you're just jumping into the new Battle Royale mode or the classic large-scale multiplayer battles, Battlefield 6 delivers the kind of chaotic cinematic warfare the series is famous for. And number 5, we've got Forza Horizon 5. And even years after its release, the game still stands as one of the best open-world racing games you can play right now. The game drops you into a massive open world based on Mexico, and the variety of environments is incredible. You've got deserts, jungles, beaches, small towns, and huge highways where you can really push your cars to their limits. The world feels alive, especially with the dynamic weather system that can completely change how races play out. Driving in Forza Horizon 5 feels amazing. Every car handles differently, and the physics strikes a really good balance between realism and fun. Whether you're drifting through mountains, roads, racing across the desert, or competing in high-speed street races, the gameplay always feels smooth and satisfying. Visually, the game is still one of the best-looking racing games out there. The lighting, reflections, and car details are incredibly realistic, especially when you're playing on high settings. And one of the best parts of the game is how massive collections of cars there is. There are hundreds and hundreds of vehicles in the game, ranging from classic cars to modern hypercars, and they're all modeled with a very crazy level of details. On top of that, the auction house lets player buy and sell cars with other players, which adds another fun layer to the game. Sometimes you can even find rare cars being sold there that are hard to unlock normally. So between the beautiful open world, the smooth driving, and the huge variety of realistic cars, and the player-driven auction house, Forza Horizon 5 continues to be one of the most complete racing experiences you can play right now. Next up, at number 4, we've got Arc Raiders, and this game brings an interesting twist to the extraction shooter genre. The world is set in the future, where massive mechanical machines called arcs have taken over the surface of the planet. Because of that, most humanity is forced to live underground, and the only way to survive is by sending raiders up to the surface to collect resources. That's where you come in. You and your team head up to the surface to explore abandoned areas, fight these gigantic robotic enemies, and gather valuable loot. But the challenge isn't just the game. Other players are also out there trying to do the same thing, which means every mission is unpredictable. You're constantly deciding whether to keep pushing for better loot or extract safely before you lose everything. That tension is what makes the gameplay intense. The combat itself feels very dynamic. You're dealing with massive robots that require strategy to take down, using the environment for cover, and coordinating with teammates to survive fights. Usually, the game has a strong sci-fi atmosphere. The abandoned world mixed with these huge mechanical enemies creates some cool moments, especially during large fights. So if you enjoy extraction shooters where every decision matters and every mission feels risky, Arc Raiders is one of the more interesting multiplayer experiences in Q1 of 2026. Next up for our top 3, sitting at number 3 is Rocket League. And this is one of those games that proves a simple idea can turn into something incredibly addictive. The concept is straightforward. Soccer with rocket-powered cars. 2 teams compete to hit a giant ball into the opponent's goal. But once you start playing, you realize there's a lot more depth than it first appears. The physics makes the game really satisfying. Every touch on the ball matters, and things like angles, speed, and how you control your car in the air can completely change a play. As you improve, you start learning advanced mechanics like aerial shots, wall plays, and fast recoveries. Matches are quick and intense, usually around 5 minutes, but the pace is constant. One moment you're attacking, the next you're rushing back to defend a shot that could decide the game. What keeps Rocket League so popular is its competitive skill ceiling. It's easy to learn, but extremely hard to master, and watching skilled players pull off insane aerial plays never gets old. Between the fast gameplay, the competitive depth, and the fun customization option, Rocket League continues to be one of the most exciting multiplayer games you can jump into. Next up, sitting at number 2, we've got Red Dead Redemption 2. And even in 2026, this is still one of the most impressive open world games ever created. A lot of games try to build big worlds, but very few make those worlds feel truly alive, the way this game does. You play as Arthur Morgan, a member of the Vanderlyn gang, living in the final days of the Wild West. The story takes place during a time when civilization is starting to take over, and the outlaw lifestyle is slowly disappearing. What makes the story so powerful is how personal it feels. It's not about shootouts and robberies. It's about loyalty, survival, friendships, and watching a group of people slowly realize their way of life is coming to an end. The characters in this game are incredibly well written. Every member of the gang has their own personality, motivations, and struggles. And as the story unfolds, you really start to understand who they are and what they're fighting for. Arthur himself is one of the most memorable characters in gaming, and the choices you make throughout the game can influence how his story plays out. The open world is where Red Dead Redemption 2 truly shines. The map is absolutely massive and filled with different environments. Mountains covered in snow, dense forest, huge plains, swamps, small towns, and large cities. And it's not just empty spaces. Everywhere you go there are random encounters, hidden locations, side missions, and small stories happening all around you. You might run into someone who needs help on the road, discover a secret cabin in the woods, hunt legendary animals, or stumble into a gang ambush. These moments happen naturally while you're exploring, which makes the world feel incredibly dynamic. The attention to detail is honestly insane. Horses have realistic behaviors, animals interact with each other, NPCs remember if you've helped them or harmed them, and even small things like your character beard growing over time or your clothes getting dirty add to the immersion. And visually, the game is still stunning on PC. With higher settings and better hardware, the lighting, weather effects, and landscapes look incredible. Watching a sunrise over the mountains, riding through foggy forest, or seeing a thunderstorm roll across the plains make the world feel almost cinematic. Between the powerful story, the incredible detailed world, and the freedom to explore and experience the Wild West however you want, Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't just a game, it's one of the most immersive experiences ever made into gaming. And last but not least, sitting at number 1 is Marvel's Spider-Man 2. And honestly, this game deserves it. If you're looking for a game that combines incredible gameplay and an amazing story and some of the most satisfying movements in gaming, this is it. One of the biggest things that makes Spider-Man 2 stands out is that you're not just playing as one Spider-Man anymore. You're playing as both Peter Parker and Miles Morales. And this game lets you switch between them throughout the story. Each character has their own ability, their own fighting style, and their own role in the story, which keeps the gameplay constantly feeling fresh. Movement in the game is easily one of the best parts. Swinging through New York City feels incredible. The animations are smooth, the speed is fast, and it really gives you that feeling of flying through the city. On top of that, they introduced whip wings, which allow you to glide across huge sections of the map. It makes traversal even faster and more exciting, and honestly just moving around the city can be fun by itself. The city itself is also bigger than before. You're not just limited to Manhattan anymore. The map expands to including Brooklyn and Queens, which adds a lot more variety to the environments you're exploring. Every neighborhood feels alive, with pedestrians, traffic, crimes happening around the city, and side activities that make the world feel active. Combat has also been expanded a lot. Both Spider-Man have new abilities and gadgets that makes fighting feels more dynamic. You can combine aerial attacks, web gadgets, dodges, and special abilities to take down large groups of enemies in really creative ways. The fights are fast, fluid, and very satisfying once you start mastering the mechanics. And then there's the story, which is one of the strongest parts of the game. Without spoiling anything, the game introduces some major villains that fans have been waiting to see for a long time, including Venom. The story dives deeper into Peter and Miles as character and explores their struggles, responsibilities, and what it really means to be Spider-Man. The emotional moments hits hard. The action sequences are huge, and the pacing keeps you invested from beginning to end. Visually, the game is also incredible. The lighting, character animation, and level of details across the city makes everything feel very cinematic. Swinging through New York during sunset or at night with the city lights glowing everywhere looks absolutely stunning. But what really makes Spider-Man 2 special is how everything comes together. The story, the gameplay, the movements, the world, everything works perfectly to create an experience that feels like you're actually living inside Spider-Man movie. And that's why Marvel's Spider-Man 2 takes the number 1 spot on my list for the top games of Quarter 1 in 2026. Thank you for watching, and I truly would appreciate if you'd subscribe. And have a good one, and see you later.